You said you had a story about Ecuador.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, we're starting with that. Okay.
You don't have to start with a story.
No, it's fine. Oh my gosh. Well, I was actually with my cousin. We went, every time we go to Ecuador, we keep it real, authentic. We do all the barbecues in the mountains where at the end of the night, there's no light. It's just awesome. But so I was with my cousin, and he, at the time, he had his new truck, and he's trying to be all cool about it. So he's like, yeah, let's go for a ride. And I don't know if you've ever been in a car when someone's just trying to like almost show off. And
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
I'm like, so I remember he was going around circles and just driving fast. And we're like in Ecuador, once you're going around mountains, it's not like here where it's like very well like protected. It's like barbed wire and wood. That's basically what's covering it. The end of the mountains. And I remember he was going so fast, and I'm like, you gotta slow down, like stop. And he was just being all like joking and laughing, and all of a sudden the back end of the wheel hits a lot of like gravel, and the truck actually goes right against the barbed wire, and we flip like halfway. And the window was open, and I was literally like this in the car with the
Sounds
window.
like a scene from like a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely it was. And you can see the cows. They're like so tiny. I was like, holy shit. And we were there for about an hour. We didn't move because every time we moved, the car was like tilting, going back and forth. We're like, oh my gosh, don't even like
Look
breathe.
down, breathe.
Don't breathe.
Jeez.
And then finally somebody drove by, and they were able to bring the car back and pull us back in. And then we sat in the car. I was just like we were still able to drive, and I got there. I'm like, don't talk to me, blah, blah, blah. But now it's a memory. I can laugh about it now.
I know, right? It's probably going to be going in that book, right?
Probably, well, maybe later on. Right now, the book that I am going to be writing, it is going to be more of a memoir, especially with this new journey that I'm leading, and I need to get it out there. Absolutely, it's just something that's been weighing on me. I knew right away that I needed to. And my brother, actually, I've had a couple of dreams already, and then he's told me, he's like, you got to get it out there. You got to share your story. So he's even said, you got to share our story.
I love that.
Got to share our story. That. And yeah, it's amazing.
I know, and that's why we're here for this podcast. I didn't even introduce you because I'm rude like that. You know what I mean? And things like that. You're like, this guy hasn't even introduced me on the show. For the listeners, for the viewers, your name?
My name is Nubbia Quezada.
I like how that just rolls off the tongue.
Nubbia Quezada.
Right?
It's not a very common name, especially growing up. Nobody really knew how to say my name. But I love it. I actually didn't like it in the beginning because it wasn't the common names. Right? And I learned to really grow into it. And now I'm owning my name, for sure.
Owning your name, like Drink Exponent. Shout outs to them.
No, I just, I can't put another name. You know, when you see like you're Rory, like I can't even see any other name for you.
No?
And finally, no, it's you.
I was supposed to be a junior.
A junior?
Yeah.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be.
I would have been like Dion Jr.
You know what? Even my name, actually, there's a story behind that as well. And my mom actually almost like died having me. And because I was a huge baby. I was almost 12 pounds.
But you're tall.
I'm tall, but 12 pounds is a lot.
Surprised we're all fitting in the frame
And my
here.
mom is not a big woman, and yeah, so she was actually, I don't even remember what she was gonna call me, but it was Nubbia.
Yeah.
Actually, in English is Nubbia. In Spanish, it's nube de la paz, which means clouds of peace.
Look at that. I was about to ask you what that originates from. Clouds of
Clouds
peace.
of peace.
And you have a sense of peace to you.
I do. And I think a lot of us, I believe, especially when we're younger, we have this essence kind of within us that we don't know what it is. We can't pinpoint it. It's just a feeling that there's no words for it. And I feel that I've always had that sense of peace and calm. I was that person who would always try to make things better, right? And try to always see the best in every situation. And yeah, I definitely can say that I embody that part of me. Absolutely.
I like that you say that.
Yeah.
So your story, you have a very, very deep story.
I do.
You do?
I do.
You know, and I'd like to give you your flowers. I always like to give people their flowers because I said that you're a natural on camera, right? And that's already out on record now. And what I love about you is the wholesome way that you know how to. This episode is sponsored by Gym Desk. If you're a gym owner, you know how hard it can be to keep track of billing, memberships, marketing, and other crucial aspects of your business. Whether you're running a martial arts school, CrossFit gym, or 24/7 fitness facility, Gym Desk makes it easy to manage everything at your gym and grow your memberships. Join thousands of other successful gym owners and start a free trial today by visiting gymdesk.com or by clicking the link in our show notes. Break things down and talk. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to listen to, you know what I mean, and things like that. Mm-hmm. So for your story, right, take us back to the last 6 to 8 months. What's it been like for you?
Well, the last 6 to 8 months, I would say it would be January, which it was the day, that month, and that I knew that I needed to start to step into the person I know I'm meant to be. Prior to that, I was completely, I wouldn't say I was lost. It was more that I had so much pain, grief, but at the same time, I also went through a very deep spiritual awakening at the same time of losing, well, I don't even like saying losing my brother anymore, because I have gained such a profound connection with my brother in the spirit world that I have a better relationship now with my brother that I did when he was alive.
Mm-hmm. When people hear that about the connection with your brother that's no longer here, and they may, let's say, scoff at that, or they may not believe that, how can you help the audience understand what that feels like? Because I don't feel like I feel like it's a gift, right? And not everybody has that. So when they hear it, they might have a disconnect to it. Yeah,
no, absolutely. To start, I do feel that there's not there's a chosen one or anything like that. I do feel that God has his beautiful and unique ways to choose certain people. It's literally from the moment you were born, your life is kind of already pre-framed a little bit. And for me, now that I look back, I can say wow, I knew I had to do that. I knew why I went through that. I knew why I met that person. I knew why I had to go through that pain, or whatever the case may be. It's like a whole download that you get. That's wow. Now so when my brother passed, I was even though it was so pain, something within me was saying something greater is going to come out of this. I don't know what it is yet. I'm gonna have to go through this pain and journey and just go through it all. But it really brought back a lot of memories from the past. And I think this is the reason why I'm so inspired to continue this journey with such passion, is because I'm not the only one. We all have this beautiful ability to connect. It's because there's so much blockages, through our pain, through our past, through our own struggles. We can't see beyond that because we're so stuck in this present moment of feeling all this discomfort, right? And so this is actually could be a very good moment for reflection, because I feel and I know that I'm not going to say percentages, but people can go back to a memory, to a feeling when they were kids, or any point in their life where something felt like a coincidence, but you second guess yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And you think, could it have been? No way. And then you move on. And then maybe years down the road, something else can happen. And you keep going back to like, there's no way. It's just a coincidence. But I don't believe in coincidences. Every single thing in your life happens for a reason. And there's so many unique and beautiful ways that Spirit, our Creator, can give us the signs, the little nudges. And then one day when you do have a profound experience, or you decide that, you know what, I want to see what this is really all about, and learn for yourself. Because I can be here and say, you know, this is what you need to do, and with the experiences you're having, and this is the reasons. But until you actually feel it for yourself, there's no denying an experience. It's a feeling, the experience, and the thought that comes with it together. If those three are in sync, that's like a perfect match. And we need to find a space within ourselves that we can actually trust our feelings, trust what we're thinking, and just be in our own, right? And we're especially in the world that we're living in now, everything is outside gratification, right? We're looking for pleasure versus growth. And it's not easy. It's not easy to go through this journey, because you do have to do some inner work, right? And it's hard for a lot of people, because they don't want to go through that kind of memory lane and all those things. And it's not like you have to go into this deep hole. You're not digging yourself in a hole. If anything, you're making room for yourself, right? To really, I mean, just imagine, and this is a scientific statistic, I should say, that we are 90% of who we are is programmed.
Ooh, you touching on the juicy stuff now. Mm-hmm. Why do you say that though?
And hold on. Yeah. And 10% is who we are. And if I worded this wrong, because I know this is being recorded,
it's fine.
It's from I heard this actually from Joe Dispenza, because
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's true. And when I say this, and when I see not only myself and just people, just the everyday people who are going to work and just doing their day-to-day kind of grind, is we were born pure, a pure spirit, right? There's this soul that we carry within us, and we're all innocent human beings when we're born, and we grow up in many different environments. It could be your parenting, and how you were parented, the environment that you grew up in, the TV shows that you watched, the music that you listened to, how your father treated your mother, or mother treated your your father, or not having divorced parents, or just seeing certain things that maybe a child shouldn't see, right? And so those are all, everything that we go through in our lives, they're all mini downloads. And a lot of things are hidden within our subconscious mind that we don't even know that we're doing certain things. Like even the habits that we do, or the sayings that we say. How many times have we maybe said something or caught ourselves doing something where it's like, man, that's like my mom, or that's like my dad, right? Or something, right? Or a phrase that you even say, how you even present yourself, right? So when you go through this journey, there's a little bit of a huge identity crisis, because you realize that, like, wow, if who I am right now is a huge chunk of my upbringing and my environment and everything else, like, who am I really? Right?
So that 90%.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like it does come down to conditioning.
Oh, absolutely.
Which you see, and I speak about this a lot on the show, a lot of people don't ever want to make peace with their past. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I think that we bring years of situations on with us.
Of course.
Could be a bad relationship with mom, with dad, like you spoke to. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, how do you change that when you get into your early 20s, mid 20s, later 20s, 30s, 40s? Yeah. Some people are still recycling the same type of stuff. Yeah. And they don't know how to seek inward. Yeah. Right? And I know that when people hear that, it's a tough pill to swallow, and then they get their on the back of their heels. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, okay, well, you know, what am I supposed to do? Like, for you, grief, loss happens. Mm-hmm. I can speak to that also, too. Yeah. What are some things that you've done to help make your world work the way it needs to work?
So, just before even tapping into that, what really helped me have a greater understanding is that our parents, the people around us, the people who we grew up with, we're all human beings. We make mistakes. Or even, you know, an example, you say parents, right? They parent, they talk, they do at a level of their own awareness. Things that were brought on to them, that were put on them, and they don't know any different, you know. And in the example of my parents, born and raised in Ecuador, very different rules and in terms of how you raise. It was like survival for the most part, right? Yeah. And I'm first generation Canadian, and I can see the generational like wounds, right? And for the first time, I remember going through this journey, I could look at my dad and feel so much compassion for him, because I see also a suffering man, a person who went through a lot of shit, you know, and I can see that he still suffers. And I see him in a totally different light, and I feel like when we have this sense of like empathy and compassion and understanding that we are all on this journey, we're all trying. So if we've made mistakes, or if we've done things, like even for ourselves, like we've done anything in the past that we did it at a certain level of awareness, like going back, I mean, would you do the same? No. Probably not, right? So I think we need to find it within ourselves to really see that, for one, no one's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And in rebuilding even relationships, it does take one person to step up, right? Mm-hmm. And are we going to just wait around expecting things to happen? And that goes with anything. If you know something, if you feel something within you that's kind of pushing you to do it, no one's going to force you to do it. You have to do it yourself. So going through this journey and the steps that I've took, that was like a huge one for me, because it really made me see my parents and everything that I've experienced through my life with a totally different lens. So I've gained a deeper understanding of our human existence. And then I really dove in deep with like meditation and trying to really calm and just be present, because our day, every single day that we're living, it is a gift. There's a reason why we're still here. Absolutely. Right? And I really try to focus on living in the present, and my actions that I do every single day. And today I'm talking about even just this specific one. I can only do what my heart is telling me to do, and leave an impact for today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Exactly. So what am I doing today that can lead to a better tomorrow?
And that's what I gather with this, like seeing a lot of the stuff on social media. Like before we even hit the record button, your stories, it's immaculate, it's impeccable, the things that you're talking about and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize that getting in front of a camera is a tough task to do. Not everybody's camera ready, right? So some people more, you know, it's rather use audio. I used to be like that until I got called out on a podcast, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But now I look at it where for you, you know, the city, London, Ontario, people that obviously know you, know your husband, things that are going on. Like when you go out there, or if it's even with social media, do people reach out to you and feel touched and inspired by that story?
Absolutely. I think that's, before even tapping into this journey deeply and really owning it, I think that's what really inspired me, because people were reaching out, and people continue to reach out on a daily basis. And I think part of my mission, if you will, is to bridge the gap, because there's this spiritual and spirit, I would say, like secrecy in a way, where it's like not okay it's not okay to talk about. It's like if you had a feeling or any of those things, it's suppressed. You know, oh, it's nothing. It's, you know, get it together, or whatever the case may be, something that maybe somebody has told you that made you shut down.
Because it's just programming to society's showing
right? Like that. This is not, or even, and I don't necessarily want to tap into like religion, but again, we are all programmed into what we were brought up believing, which has been told from our parents, right? I didn't choose to be raised Catholic. That's what I was told I was going to be raised like, as going to church, and right. But again, even with that, it is part of a program, right? And I people have been sharing their stories and their experiences, and it's so profound that just being able to give space and provide a space where people can actually share their stories. I've had people share beautiful things where they've had these, and sharing mine, where they've had these, oh my gosh, now I know why, you know, my best friend who died, you know, 30 years ago, she came to me in a dream and she told me that she had to go to save my life, right? When you have like, and when you try to share those stories, it's like, well, maybe are you making that up to make yourself feel good, you know, get over it, like, but that sits with you. And then when you have this connection, you're like, that was real.
Absolutely.
Like, I know that was real. Or just any signs. It can be, and when it comes to spirit, they have a beautiful and very unique way, and sometimes comical way, how they want to connect with us. And they don't connect unless you're open to it. Because in a sense of vulnerability, when we're in a state where there's almost this space of desperation, where you'll almost accept anything at that point. Like, give me something, right? And if something just clicks, that's why it's easier. Like in my example, why it was easier for me to receive my brother's messages, because I was open. Mm-hmm. Like, I looked at my brother in the face, laying in the casket. He looked like a golden boy. He looked so beautiful. And I just looked at him, and I whispered in his ear, and I remember I was hugging his head, and I said, Justin, I know you can hear me. I just give me anything. Give me something. I need to know that you made it to the light. Just give me something. And then I told him I loved him and that I'll be waiting.
That's deep.
It was
deep. I don't get emotional on podcasts, but woo, it's getting deep here. We're getting deep.
It was tough, but again, in that moment, it's like, I know something. Like, this is meant for a reason. I'm like, and I can't just let it pass. And it was delivered like literally the next day.
No, absolutely. I feel like you speak just in his name.
Yeah.
It's like with my grandfather and knowing that he's my guardian angel. And I feel like the synergy that's in this room right now, I believe they're both here with us, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And just listening to this real time, and I'll say this, like, emotion is here, but it's knowing that they're both here to hold us down. You know what I mean? And we still carry on their messages. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's all about impacting your community, impacting the relationships. And that's one of the things I wanted to touch on with relationships for you, because I think that we're in this world of, like you mentioned, distraction, where we don't want to rebuild back relationships because of other agendas in the world. Maybe we're, dating. Maybe we're too busy with work. We're too busy in the gym. But we tend to separate and then want to reconnect when something comes up where it's, God forbid, somebody gets sick, somebody passes away. This episode is sponsored by Gym Desk. If you're a gym owner, you know how hard it can be to keep track of billing, memberships, marketing, and other crucial aspects of your business. Whether you're running a martial arts school, CrossFit gym, or 24/7 fitness facility, Gym Desk makes it easy to manage everything at your gym and grow your memberships. Join thousands of other successful gym owners and start a free trial today by visiting gymdesk.com or by clicking the link in our show notes. How do we eliminate that?
Keeping relationships or rebuilding?
Basically, I'll crop all that out. I butchered that. Basically, what I'm saying is eliminate the distractions to keep the relationships being built and anchored. So it's not like we're connecting on a basis of like, oh, somebody got sick, somebody passes away, then we're wanting to connect with family and friends. You know what I mean?
Okay. I get what you're saying. Okay. When building and rebuilding relationships, it's never too late. It's never, ever too late. And whether it's from experience, because I've had a lot of experiences like this as well, but even many people sharing their own stories, we're waiting for something to happen, right? We're waiting for maybe someone or the other person to start something, or for them to make the move, right? But we're in that state, we're in a state of pride. And there's a little bit of that ego that's in the way.
Yep, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
So that takes courage. It takes courage to own yourself and to own the situation and to be almost like you're taking in essence, really, it's taking charge, right? Because if there's something within you, and I can feel like a lot of people can resonate with this, because there's a lot of broken relationships. We've seen it even within the last 3 years. Okay,
here we go.
We won't go there. But what I'm saying is, we are masking so much. And what are the masks that we're actually wearing? The invisible ones that nobody can see, but you wake up every morning and you put them all on.
Shit. Whew.
Right?
Whew.
So I think in building and rebuilding relationships, it takes ownership, and it's step-by-step process, because once we realize the masks that we're actually wearing, it's up to us to take one off, one at a time. That's it.
But that comes with growth and self-acceptance.
That comes with growth, but it also comes with awareness. If you're not aware of it, you're going to be living your same day-to-day life. So if you're feeling that something is missing, that it could even be the relationships that you're in right now, the friends that you have, even family, right? And it's hard because you don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to cause pain or distress or be the reason that something's getting stirred up, right? But in my own experience, it was the very first time in relationship wise, because I can go back even deeper through my own history when it comes to relationships with like a partner, it's really taking a step for yourself to really own who you are and stand up for who you are, what you believe in, and just actually owning it and knowing that it's not coming from a sense of pride or ego or anything. Like, just, it's that fire within you that is telling you, like, this is who I am. And I think it's a powerful way to actually not only express love for yourself, but to others as well, because it's showing others what it actually takes to embody who you are. And sometimes it does mean breakups. Sometimes it does mean that relationships will separate. It can be not just with a loved one. It could be siblings. It can be friends. All those things. But by doing so, you're now in a position where you have given a gift to those people, because they're now going to have to go through that journey. They're going to have to go through that ride, and it's not pretty, but we are not responsible for other people.
So true. It's so true. And that's something I've learned. And I'll be honest, like, I've been saying it to a lot of people on the podcast, is like, no matter where you get into a certain space of development, self and emotional intelligence, you'll see a lot of friends, family, acquaintances either draw close to you or taper off and separate. And I've always said is that it comes from one of two areas. Either they don't understand who you are transforming to become, or it's that ego, pride, and jealousy that kicks in. 9 times out of 10, I like to take the route of it's a little bit of both, right? It's a little bit of both. But when the ego plays into it, that's when it gets kind of to the point you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because if it's jealousy can be very, very dangerous. Because then people are just like, they're vying for you. They're, oh, he's saying this, he's saying that. And it's like, no matter what the conversation is, it's like, ask the right questions to gain clarity. Because there could be things that you say, somebody hears from your past. Oh, well, what does that mean? You got to ask. And I think if you ask more questions, that's where you get the answers, and you come into a collaboration effort of understanding. You know what I mean? That's why I always say to people, it's like, no matter if we're watching sports on TV, you're listening to your announcers, or you're watching movies, something's going to be there to trigger you. If you're looking for it, it will trigger you. But that's where you have to ask yourself, is it triggering me because I don't have the grounding? You know what I mean? Yeah. And things like that.
I think you kind of nailed it a little bit on the whole triggering thing, because I feel like it's being used a lot, the word trigger, and I think even with that and how we feel about it, if that's bothering you, then something's actually bothering you really deep inside of you for you to even feel worked up about a word, right? And everyone is their own traumas, their own things that they've ever gone through. It's uniquely their own. Who are you to say that how I should be feeling or what I went through wasn't like this big thing, or vice versa, right? It can be something so small, but it can leave a significant impact, this emotional like residue that just kind of stuck somewhere in the body that as we get older, we don't remember. We forget that it was ingrained somewhere in the body. And then sometimes when we hear certain things or someone says something or see something, it's like, boom, what the heck was that? Where did that come from? Right? So I think that's the key here, is about when little things come up for us and show up for us. It's like, okay, it's more that's where for me it's been such a unique experience, because when something shows up for me and the first thing I ask, okay, this is for something, right? Like something's trying to teach me something. I need to grow, because I feel like I can be months feeling so good and all of a sudden, boom, like, whoa, shit. I'm getting all emotional, right? And then you don't realize that's why this journey is ever evolving one. We are going to be constantly learning new things, going through new experiences, meeting new people, and it's getting out. So if anyone's actually feeling stuck or they're doing the same thing over and over, you know, taking the same routes, going to the same place to get coffee, doing all the repetitive things, just switching it, taking what do you call it, like a reroute?
Reroute.
Detour. There you go, reroute.
Google Maps.
Detour, right? It's, you don't know what can happen. You can even see something on a billboard and to be like, and it just be like, damn, that billboard just said something, spoke to me, right? It can be something.
Be aware of your surroundings.
It's exactly it, and it's we need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to actually walk out the door and experience new things, right? Stop
living through the lens of the red tape. All right, I think that's what you see. Like, people come from corporations, things like that, and they still think you have to do things by the book, and they live their life by the book. But realistically, we don't live life by the book. Pandemic season showed that we were not living by the book. Well, there were certain elements that happened that were out of our control, but it's crazy how you see the world flip on its upside down on its axis, and we had to do some inner soul seeking with a lot of different things. You know what I mean? Getting adjusted to mass, all these policies, all these procedures, and I think a lot of people still carry those on, and some people feel comfortable living that life of just, oh yeah, my whole life has to be outlined through red tape. And it's like, that's not where growth comes from. It won't come from red tape, because red tape is always going to have black and white, no gray area. Gray area is always in the entrepreneurship that we are in. You know what I mean? Yes, some of us may still work a 9 to 5, and it is what it is, making that transition. And I think that's where you see the ones that live by like a red tape, black and white, they tend to plateau eventually. While us as entrepreneurs, impact leaders, community, specialists, we tend to keep trending upwards. But when we trend upwards, there may be times where we'll get these little nicks, and as we're climbing, but that's evolution, and that's how you simply sit here and you build into processes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, you actually, thought came up when you mentioned being an entrepreneur, and I actually had someone asked me this question is, do you feel that you need to be an entrepreneur to be happier, to own who you are, right? And I humbly, in my opinion, is no. You don't have to be. And that's where when you're in a place where you do have that sense of peace and you're happy and joyful, like, your purpose can be opening the door for someone and smiling. And if that makes you feel good, and by the end of the night, you're going to bed and you're freaking happy as can be, that's it. That is the life that we want. We want to live. We want to be that, right? So, because I can tell you, I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are not happy. Okay.
Sacrifice a lot of relationships.
And I think that's just it. We're in this, I don't even know how to word this properly so it can be properly understood, but we're on this mission to be greater, to attain all these things and own your business and leave a legacy, all these things. But if in the way of doing that, who's being affected? Who are, like, and not to say you're hurting people intentionally, but sometimes we get that in our head. It's like, I'm going where I need to go and I don't care who's in the way, what I need to do to get there. But there's that ego side that comes in where it's, you don't even realize that you actually put yourself in a trap. Because once you do reach certain goals in your life, if you're going back to that same initial feeling that you weren't enough to begin with, you will never be enough.
Shit. Man, oh man. You know, everything you say, it lands in such a way, right? Because it's real talking points that you're bringing. You know what I mean? And you see it a lot in business, right? And maybe I'll get a little controversial here. You know, you got a lot of our people that we watch on social media. They're all about building relationships, yes. And then you have ones that are building this acres of land and doing what it is they need to be doing, but what they've sacrificed in the process, a lot of it's relationships, could be home life, family, friends, other businesses, and that's not how you elevate. And that brings me back to this little short story. I was sitting just outside of where I work, right? I don't ever say it on the podcast or whatnot because it's just whatever. And this gentleman comes up to me and he goes, "You're the podcast guy." And I was so focused on my phone. This is actually just yesterday. And I'm laughing. I'm like, and I turned, I'm like, I kind of gave him a look. Like, bro, I'm like so locked into what I was doing. And then he's like, I was like, "What do you mean? How do you guys, like, how did you know that?" And I'm not, some people think, "Oh, you have an ego." No, it's like, how did you know that? Because it's like, I don't look at myself to be where people have me. And it's not because I'm insecure. It's just because I don't do this for the clicks and the fame and the fortune and the going viral. I do this for the awareness piece, the 1% better in the community. And he's like, you did an interview with one of my boys, one of my friends. He said, da, 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 da. And he goes, "Great interview. I want to introduce myself. This is who I am. This is what I got going on. Is there a potential chance that we can connect?" And instantly time slowed down. And I was like, holy shit. Like, people out there are always watching everything that it is you're doing. And there's that one particular time that they could come approach you. And if I had an ego, or if I wasn't somebody that was approachable, he could easily walk by and be like, "That Rory guy over there, he thinks he's better." But people get that connection. They feel it. They feel that synergy. So it's like,
Absolutely.
Let me knock on that door. Let me see what's going on with him, you know? And he was just coming out of, I think, some chocolate spot or whatever like that, doing everything. I can't have it right now, but, you know, it is what it is. But it's just like, after that interaction, I kind of felt bad because I was like, I think the way, like, how I approached it, because I was so locked in, I said, "Yo, my apologies." I was like looking at my phone. I was like actually like typing something out. And I said, it kind of broke my focus. Because you know that when you get so focused and like that phone rings or like this happens or that happens, it's like, you're like, what the hell?
But you know what though? That was a little lesson for you.
It was.
Right?
It was.
That's actually amazing that you shared that, because I think when those moments happen, you have now reflected on it, right? And it puts you in a different level of awareness.
Yeah.
You see things differently, and that's when that piece of getting to know yourself, it's so important. And I love that you shared that story, because being in this space, right? And I can resonate a lot with you as well, because that's where I felt, or I wanted to be. I know this is the space that I wanted to be, and do what I love. It's essentially doing what I love, and I've known this part of me since I was literally a kid. And to stray away and try to find other things that you feel are going to be the it factor, it always brings you back to that same feeling, the same thought, the same wants, and that need for yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, in the beginning, you will not even realize how much you're actually helping others.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because we are here on this beautiful journey, and we're here to help each other out. You know, if I'm going through, like, say, like a bad time, okay, Rory, like, there's a sense of inspiration, and that starts to lift each other up and inspire one another. So if you're in a space where nobody in your circle is providing any sense of hope, peace, or growth, it's a very huge sign for you got to step out of that.
Exactly.
Right?
And you hear the excuses. Well, how do I do it? Right? And I'll always will say this, and this may come to be a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. if you have a group of people, not, you've heard the cliche where they say, oh, those 5 people you hang out with becomes, but look at it from this perspective. If you have a group or you have a set of individuals that are all doing something in their respective AORs, and you have maybe once had, you know, great communication, maybe fell out of communication with the person, and you see them leveling up, you would think that's your indication to say is, if I'm not leveling up here, these are guys that I once talked to, let me reconnect. And do it in a way where it's like, hey, you know what, such and such and such, I know we haven't talked in a while. Hey, I know you're busy. When there's a time that we can have a conversation to talk, that can go in a voice note that's less than 10 seconds, or you text it out. You know what I mean? You see then your response, because if you go with that genuine connection piece, people are going to be like, yo, let's talk, right? A friend I known for, oh my goodness, I've known him for 20 years. We kind of met indirectly, reached out to me on Facebook. We were part of this group page, and he messaged me on Facebook Messenger, and he's like, yo, can we connect on the phone? I never thought me and this guy were ever going to have a conversation, but I see him out about this and that. I said, I have about 10 minutes. And he felt offended when I said that.
Oh.
But he didn't realize that's my boundaries and my non-negotiables. We didn't talk for 10 minutes on that phone. We were on the phone for like 2 hours. It was like 1:30, reconnecting, this and that, da-da-da-da-da. And now I like to call him my tech guy. You know what I mean? And it's so interesting of how you know somebody for that long, maybe just seeing them out and about, and now you actually become that synergy friends, those pals that can help point each other in the right direction. Because as he's learning from me, I'm learning from him. And we both give back. You know what I mean? Transformational instead of transactional.
But yeah, people will just start to show up, right? And it's, I love seeing that. I love people reaching out. I love connecting with people. Or is we need to go through our growth, our journey, where it's finally, it's like God saying, okay, you're good. Let's start really doing the work.
And one of the things I'll speak to is that in life, everybody's going to grow differently. Sometimes you could be level 25 and you could still be on the start screen. That doesn't mean that you're late. That means that there's maybe something that you could, ask. Ask that question. Ask that family. Ask that friend. Like, hey, how do you become more self-aware? You'll get the answer. There could be a reference to a book, a coach, right? Not everybody needs a coach. Not everybody needs a reference book, but there's many different elements. There's so much, like my friend always likes to say at Stateside, there's so much free apps that are out there to actually help. You know what I mean? Podcasts is being one of them. YouTube is like one of the biggest search engines. There's so much information to our disposal, but we never want to learn. We're so comfortable going on Instagram or TikTok and scrolling at the stuff that's not elevating us. Everything's an algorithm based. I don't even see that stuff now. I
think, to be honest, just from what I've seen and what I've gathered, is a lot of people actually have, part of them, there's like this trauma with learning from school, going to school.
I remember crying when I was doing math.
Like, seriously, because going to school is, you're being forced, for one, to go to a place where most people don't want to go.
No.
Your already first interaction is not a good one.
No, it's not.
And everyone learns so differently. Like, even for me, like, I didn't even read a full book. Like, I would be like, search the engine, get the summary of each chapter. Okay, let's go.
I love you like this.
Like, read, and it's because nothing really sunk well with me. Like, almost everyone, I believe, can agree with me that you went through school just going through the motions, doing what your parents told you to do, doing the assignments, and if they were late, you were going to fail, so you just put something together,
So the teacher can be like 50%.
50%, right? So as soon as you're done school, like most people's are like, F that. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing. But when it gets to a point in your life when learning is not about, it's actually you're choosing now what you want to learn about, what you want to program, literally your brain. What is the information that you want to put in your brain? What are the things that you want to learn? What are the things that you want to see? Right? We can switch that. But we got to get out of this mind frame and let go of the past of our educational system, because that wasn't us. Like, no. I didn't like school. Like,
I don't think many of us did.
Nobody did. Like, I did not like it. And it was just later on where when you finish high school and you're like, you gotta go to college, or university, or you're gonna get lost and you gotta pay and do so much to try to raise money or get loans or do this or do that. And I know so many people have gone to school and spent like thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They come out and they're not even doing what they went to school for.
Let's talk about that. Now, this may get clickbait right here. From high school, cool. I think that this is not the viral moment. This is not the viral moment, but I'll be honest. If you're going to go to school for business, I think you can literally go on a podcast, go on YouTube, figure out setting a course on spreadsheets, doing all that. I understand they want that certificate, but you can learn it, maybe go and walk in and work for a certain job or corporation, because all they want is really like your high school. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're going to school for like tech or construction and this, maybe a little differences there. But there's a lot of guys I know that are in tech and in construction that don't have a diploma. Mm-hmm. They figured it out.
And that's just it, right? I mean, if you want to be certain, like a doctor or a lawyer, there's certain things that you really want to do. And I would say, hopefully it comes from like a true passion. That's not something that was ingrained in you since you were a kid. But if that's the case, it's okay too, because later on in life, you're going to find out that, you know what, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to paint. I don't know, right? It's like, you do have to go through these journeys, through the journey, because you are going to learn things along the way. But if no matter what it is that you're doing or going, whether it's school or a job or this or that, you do need to find it, like what really is inspiring you to do what you're doing. And I know a lot of people, well, we need to make money. I got to do this. I got to do that. Of course we do. But it's finding space where you can do what you need to do, whatever is presented. Because if people are going through, for example, awakenings or this or that, and like, well, I hate my 9 to 5, this or that, I'm going to quit. Well, no. Like, hold on a little bit. Hold on, right? Like, you got to use that now. Like, you get your income. And then when you come home, or if you have kids, like when the kids go to bed, like you work on what you want to work on.
Take 1 hour of the day.
1 hour a day.
I've always said this.
Whatever it is, one step at a time. Yep. And just go with that.
Rome wasn't built in a year.
Right? And it's just, we get too caught up. And sometimes we just need to like literally take a step back and see, from a whole different perspective and how we're actually seeing and envisioning our life, and realize that we do have a choice, right? We all have choices. And I know I don't want to go in too deep, because I know with conversations like this, people will go deep into all the people, who don't have a choice, right? Whether it's through famine or this or that. I'm not talking about that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's being in a space where you're not comparing. Okay, we're not comparing ourselves to nobody, and we need to take ownership of ourselves. And I always, for me now, because it sounds a little like cheesy when they say, "Oh, look at yourself in the mirror," and if you can say that you love yourself, It's honestly a true thing. If you can actually wake up every morning and look at yourself, it's not to pick at yourself. It's seeing yourself and seeing this beautiful potential that really is within you, and the things that you can actually work on to be better, so you can wake up and you can start complimenting yourself, right? Because when it comes to affirmations, you can say as many as you want, but if you don't feel them, if you don't believe them, then it's just like out the window, right? It's that a level of awareness. If you're not feeling pretty, or if you're not feeling like strong or whatever it is, well, why not? What happened along the lines that made you feel that way? So it's awareness and practice. And then you can truly, with conviction, say, I freaking love myself. I love you. You are badass, right? But it's doing that work. So there's something about yourself that you just don't like. For one, how did it even get there? Like, why is that thought even there? And what can you do about it? Right? What are you going to do?
I said this already. The future is, I think the lights are so on. The sky's the limit for you, because I think that this, like, you can touch on so much plethora of different things. You know what I mean? And I think that this journey, some people look at, I say impact leaders now. Influencers, I feel like it's starting to get very redundant. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants the K's on the follower count. They're not doing anything with it. I see some great people that have big monster accounts not doing anything with it. Like, to convert 10% of your following and put a merch together and sell a shirt for $25, and that's your residual income you'll build, and just keep releasing shirts. You know what I mean? Shameless plug. But at the same time, it's like the sky's the limit for you. Like, I feel it and I see it just from just walking into in this house. I'm like, you're there. No, I'm keeping it real.
No, I
feel
appreciate that. I really appreciate that you're saying that, and I am taking it all in. I think I can definitely say I'm proud at this moment where when you take when someone gives you a compliment, and you can actually be like, thank you, and not trying to find a way like, well, how can I compliment you, right? Because you're not receiving it. So being in a space where you can receive, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I really, I'm grateful that we're even doing this. And
it's gonna be on a bigger scale. Just trust me. Trust me. I ain't gonna let the cat out the bag yet. But if you've been listening and you've been watching how the show has been going, it's setting up for something that's gonna be bigger. Hopefully, end of November, once this charity boxing thing is done, and then I'm like, end of November, like December, just before Christmas, I have a lineup I want to bring to this city.
Amazing.
And I want you to be a part of it. It's kind of out yet.
Yeah.
But it's not out yet. You know what I mean? But I want you to be one of those people there. I want to really do something on a bigger scale.
That's amazing.
With
I'd be honored.
Impact leaders here in this city to all be able to collaborate with each other. You know what I mean? Because we all have a story to tell, and let's have free-flowing conversations. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to necessarily be about what, we're talking about in our respective AORs, but like, let's have a group discussion. We have mics going. We have everything going. We have an audience, live audience, laughs, everything. You know what I mean? Maybe pitch it to Netflix, you know what I mean?
Hey.
You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
That sounds amazing.
There's just little things that I see, because I think that there's an opportunity, a big time opportunity. And podcasting is $1 billion business right now. There's so much you can do with this business.
Oh, absolutely. I'm kind of like getting that nudge to, maybe start something.
Yes.
I haven't like fully decided. Yeah. But for me, it would be so people can actually come in and share the stories that they don't want to
do it,
express and tell
do it.
Even their own family or friends, but they're willing to be like, Nubbia, you understand me. I know you do. Right. And that's what I get a lot. It's like, Nubbia, I know I'm telling you this because I know you know what I'm talking about. And that, like, every time I hear that, it's like, I just literally look up. I'm like, I know. This is it. This is the path. This is the way. Because if we can't express ourselves and share who we are, then who are we? Right?
So
and
true.
that's that's huge. And there's just so many different ways when it comes to, you know, sharing your voice or sharing your truths, or no one can take that away from you. Nobody. Your experience is your own experience, and there's no debate.
No
on
debate.
that. There's no debate on that.
Debate.
There's no debate.
No debate. Yet to see somebody sit across from me in a chair and have a debate with me.
Hey, you can't tell me about my experiences, right? It's but that's just it, right? It's like it's literally owning it, and you see, we're at a stage in history, I would say, that there's way too many stories, which is amazing, of people overcoming adversity. Right? There's just open up a book, search it. It's gonna give you. That's not even an excuse anymore. Like, it can be done. You have to decide. Do you want it? Do you want what do you want for yourself, right? And I know it's hard. Oh, I had a moment going through this where you have that fight, right, with God. For me, it was like, do I really have to lose my brother to go through this, to grow? And I remember my brother, he did tell me that he's like, Nube, like, again, in Spanish, he said, I'm gonna be with you until things get lighter, right? And cry and be upset, show all these emotions, but you get to a point where you express the emotions, you share, and you cry, and you're angry, and you scream, and it's like finally you're like, okay, that's enough, right? It's when my brother actually taught me a lesson, and this is something that that really transitioned me from point A to point B, was when I was so connected with my brother. Like, I was like on cloud nine, like sending me all these beautiful messages. He even gave me, I asked him for his code for his telephone, for his PIN to get in his phone. And I was like 2 weeks, like putting every code in. I'm like, I gotta get into this phone. And finally I'm like, okay, out loud, I'm like, Justin, just give me your PIN, please. I'm done. He gave it to me the next day. Yep. I was, I went to go pick up my mom, because this was like about a couple weeks after, or maybe, 3-4 weeks after, actually. And I went to go pick up my parents because I didn't want them to be alone during that time. So they came to stay with me. And when I went to go pick them up, my mom was looking for his things. Like, it was like I had a bag with all of his paperwork, and it was like his driver's license, bank card, all that kind of stuff from his apartment where he was staying. And my mom was looking for it. I'm like, Ma, let's go. You don't need this. Like, let's just go. She's like, no, she's like, I want to go to the bank, and I want to see if you had any money in there. And you can't just go to the bank and they're just going to open the account for you, right? Yeah. And she's like, I don't know. She's like, I feel like there's I know like the PIN of his bank card. And then she just starts blurbing out these numbers, and I didn't think anything of it. I go home, we get back to my house. It was like literally the next day after picking them up, and I'm washing the dishes, and I was like, cling. I'm like, no. At the time, I was swearing. I'm like, no effing way. Right, yeah. I'm like, I ran upstairs. Boom, 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 boom. Open the phone.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Right? But that was just one thing, right? Of many, many beautiful connections. Because now at this point, I talk to my brother like he's right here. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. There's a couple times where he's called me out, and I tell him, like, not right now. Right? Like, literally, not right now. Like, I gotta do something. But what really, he taught me a lesson when I was in that space where, because I was receiving so many signs and this beautiful connection with him, I was like, it was driving me. It was my driving force to move forward and all that. But then all of a sudden the connection stopped. And I felt lost. I'm like, I meditate, I pray, I'd call them, I'm this, where are you? Right? It was like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I started to build that anger again, the resentment, like everything was coming out of me. Like, you're leaving me again. You left me again. Like, how can you do this? Like, what the hell? You know? And then I started to actually get sick. I started to make myself sick. And this is so powerful right here, because our mind is so powerful that our negative thoughts are this state of being where we're so stuck that we're actually making ourselves sick through, for me, I was brain fog. I actually gave myself gout. I couldn't sleep. I was just like, everything was just triggering me. I was this not myself. And then what really pushed me to the edge is I started getting skin rashes. I started getting skin rashes, and I was just sitting down, I remember on the couch, just kind of lifeless. And I just remember just kind of touching my arm, and I'm like, whoa, what is that? And I looked, and I started to see almost as if it was like, whether a type of eczema, because my dad has psoriasis. So I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way. And then I realized it was like a click where I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally looked up, and I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this. I'm like, I literally stood up. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm like, enough. I'm not going to do this to myself. I'm not doing this to my family. And I'm not doing this to you, Justin. You are literally watching me right now destroy my life. I'm done. And it was like, boom, a whole new journey. Because no matter what you think on the outside, and even spiritually on the other end, the spirit world, we have control of our lives and what we decide to do with it. No one can do it for you. And it can be in anything. And I realized, like, even the things that I've preached even as a fitness coach, if you want it, you're going to work for it. Doesn't matter. How bad do you want this? Right? How many times do you have to fail? I don't care how many times you have to fail. Get up and do it again until you've built momentum. And that's exactly what happened to me. It was like this internal shift, and I never looked back. I realized that I had the power to change. And that's how I live my life, and that's how I raise my kids. And doesn't matter what you're going through, you have the power to switch it. And my kids, obviously, they're younger, so I'm teaching them how to manage that. And it's been so beautiful. My kids have had beautiful experiences, my brother. Beautiful, profound. And the one thing is that I think as adults, we're kind of like striving to be in a place like childlike, in the sense of they're not worrying about the next day, the future, or the past, or what happened yesterday, what fights, or whatever it may be. You're always living in the present moment, which is why it is so much easier for spirit to connect with children, right? Between the age of 0 and 7, they're so open. Their spirits are just so open that your imaginary friend, I'm telling you right now, was no imaginary friend. That was your friend. That could have been an aunt, an uncle. That could have been an ancestor from whenever, being there to guide you. You know, you may be going through some stuff, maybe seeing things you shouldn't have seen, and you had that friend to be, I got you. And I've seen it twice where it was so vivid with my daughter, where my brother came to her as the same age as her, and they were playing hide and seek together.
Wow.
It was beautiful. She woke up from her nap, and she was like, I hear her like chattering, and she said my brother's name. And I remember I was folding clothes with my mom, and I looked at my mom like, no way. And she came out, and she saw like a little, the funeral cards? In the front of the picture of the card was actually a picture of my brother when he was like 2 years old, same age. And she saw the picture, and she's never seen it before. Never seen it, or even knew. She wouldn't have known that was my brother. And she looks at the picture and she's like, Justin? And she's like, Justin, where are you? She starts looking under the bed and playing and giggling, looking everywhere. She's just like, she's just playing. She's running around, smiling and laughing. And me and my mom were like, wow. It was just, such a beautiful moment. And just about a month ago, we were at the park and my son, he was like at the top of this kind of, almost like it was like a little merry-go-round kind of thing. And I was looking at him and he was waving. He was like waving to like the sky. And I looked at him. I'm like, oh, Damien, what are you doing? He's like, I'm waving at Tio Justin. He's here right now. Like, I'm waving at Tio Justin. He's here right now. He was like glowing, my son. And he was just like looking, like he was literally looking up and just like this glisten in his eyes and smiling and just kind of doing one of these. And I'm like, thank you. It was just such a precious moment. And my son talks to him all the time. It's beautiful to see. Like, he'll do things and he'll be like, Tio, like, this is for you. I made this for you. Do you like it? Like, right? And it's just so profound. And I think that's another thing that I really want to put out there is that this is so beautiful to see this connection that we have with spirit. That as we get older, we get lost and we disengage and we're told perhaps that that's not the way or it's wrong. But it's such a unique relationship that we really need to rebuild. And I'm just so passionate about it because I see it firsthand and how this is a huge piece that's missing within our lives. And it is profound. It is profound. We've all had experiences. Matt has had a beautiful experience as well with my brother where it finally sunk in and he looked at me and said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for not believing or not trusting. Because when it goes through you and feels in you, he's like, there's no denying it. And after that, even, our relationship changed dramatically as well, which is beautiful. Because we're now in this space where we are being kind of who we are, and we all have our journeys, right, Matt? I know he still has work to do, and he knows it too, but he's so open to it now, and he's realizing more things about himself. But the thing is, and whether you or whoever's listening can resonate, no matter how much you tell someone to do something, they will not do it. They will not do it because it's not coming from them. So the moment I actually took a step back and be like, I love you, but I can't take care of you that way. And as soon as I did that, it was like, so much change. And that was with everybody in my relationship. It could be my parents, my brother, everybody who was in my circle. Like I took a step back, and it really allows people to see their own true colors. And when you focus on yourself, and it's not in a selfish way, right? But there's a bit of that where you do need to focus on yourself. You do need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your mind. You need to take care of your body, and you need to take care of your spirit. If one of those things are not aligned, or something is missing, you know what is missing. Let's do the work. Let's do it, right?
I'm a mic drop that. Like, seriously. I've never, and wow. Like, when I tell you just your storytelling and how you've said everything for the last little bit, the emotion, I've never ever got emotional on a podcast. But like, I'm feeling it here, right? Where the emotion is setting in. And I have my belief, I have my spiritual, all of that. And it's just coming from you and just listening to your story. It's something. That's why I said it's not about, and I want people to really listen to this. It's not about, the numbers of how many people are following you and stuff like that. It's about how you can reach one to teach one and impact. And on this episode, I would say is out of all the episodes I've done, there's probably been a handful of episodes, top 5 favorite episode in the 6.5 years of doing this.
Oh.
So I thank you for giving me the honor. Wow.
Oh wow, thank you. That's amazing. I'm really happy to be part of this journey with you. I really am. And there is no coincidence that we are here right now.
No coincidence. It's everything happens in time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.